Two sniffs in your nose, one sigh out the mouth. Take a deep breath in and then relax.
Yo, Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing quite well too. I mean, I guess you could say I'm quite happy because we got some really good weather in these past few days. Apart from the fact that today there was some overcast, but let's say that spring is out of the way almost here in Italy, southern Italy, and it's almost summertime. So one of those things that most people look forward to. And what about you?
Life is good. The same in LA. The weather's getting nice. I'm actually going to Mexico next weekend, so that should be fun.
Wow.
I'm going to
Okay. Where?
Oaxaca, Mexico. I don't know if you heard of Oaxaca.
No, I haven't heard. Is it, what part?
Uh,
What part is that?
that's like
What
very
region is
south.
it?
Is almost going toward Belize,
Okay. Okay.
Guatemala.
Okay. So you're exactly. I was gonna say Guatemala, Costa Rica. So you're in this, at the Central America, almost South America portion, right?
Central, yeah, closer to
Okay.
Central. Even though Mexico is still considered North America, so almost close
Yeah.
to Central.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And so are you going to visit friends, or are you going
I'm gonna
to?
hang out with a friend, and then
Okay.
we're gonna do it up, because Oaxaca is known for their food, like their mole.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
there's some there's some ruins, some like Aztec ruins and stuff like that.
Wow.
They have like these natural mineral springs I'm looking at that we can like soak in. So yeah, just and the city's supposed to be like full of color and life and like dancing, but the food is the best thing, like the mole, uh,
Okay.
oxtail stew, all that good stuff.
Okay. Okay. And so, how did you meet this friend? When did you meet this friend?
Uh,
Um,
From
recently or?
from a dating app.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. So, well, that's interesting because I wanted to, that's the topic for today, talking about friends and friendships and relationships that are, how can I say, extra familial. You know what I'm saying? We often consider friends and family separate.
Mhm.
Although, saying some friends can be family, like blood related family, like, especially with us in the past, almost decade, we've revitalized, saying our friendship, and we've always had the bloodline going, but we revitalized our friendship. But when we think about non, saying familial, or people who are not related in the bloodline, how important are those friendships or relationships to people? Do you think?
I think they can be, to me. I don't know. Blood is important, I guess.
Mhm.
Like I said, blood is thicker than water to some degree. But if I think at the end of the day, it's about putting in the reps with
Okay.
everything. Like if if
Okay.
if, if you're putting in the reps of being my friend day in day out, when shit hits the fan, you're there
Okay.
for me, and you're not there for me. And then I can have somebody that's my bloodline, and I really see them, I really talk to them. For
Hmm.
me personally, the person who's been putting in the reps is more close to me than anything. I mean,
Okay.
that's what I believe, and I think a lot of other people share that same sentiment, because unfortunately, a lot of people do have a strange family and a strange
Okay.
family members. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, most people who would, saying who's really up forward, saying, and they're open about it, almost everyone has, family issues, and every family is strange. I think, at least in my experience, from speaking to people who were actually open about their familial lives. But and like they always say, you can choose, or you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. But and you talked about putting in work, nurturing. A lot of people talk about nurturing friendships, nurturing relationships. Um, but is it always necessary, especially if the friendship or the rapport is very strong? Do you think it's necessary to always nurture that friendship, that relationship? Like, do you have to water it every day, every week? Do you have to, like, check in with your friend like once a month and say, "Yo, I'm still here. Remember that? Say I still got love for you, bro. I still got love for you, sis." Or is it kind of like one of those things that's intuited, where your intuition kicks in, like, like you said before, when those tribulations kick in, or those how can I say, those burdens, saying those burdensome events come in, they know that they can count on you? Or is it one of those things where, um, when I call him, when I knock on that person's door, they're always answering? So what do you think is like the main attributes for building a strong friendship, that they have to be there for you only in those moments of tribulation, or that you can share both tribulation and triumph with them?
Yeah, I think the old me would always say, like, 'cause I always been kind of like I think I ain't gonna say isolated myself, but I did isolate
Mhm.
myself. I was like, my friends, I only need them, see them here and there, and how we can intuit when to talk to each other and whatnot.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think it's good to have community is so important for human beings and stuff like that,
Okay,
and having friendships that you can just even talk stupid shit about every day or close to every day, a couple
okay,
times a week. Is really powerful and really potent for the
okay.
development of our own inner happiness and our own community happiness. And so for me, I think is D, all of the above. I think it's important to, like, especially when shit hits the fan, that you have somebody
Mhm.
to talk to. But when you have some nice tribulation, it's good to share with that person. Or even when it's something boring and mediocre, it's like, like you saw this or you saw that Drake got robbed or something like that. It's
The
what
automatic, the AP, the baguette, right?
but,
Right.
but,
So
because it's like this. A lot of times we live in this world where we look at things, and, like, and this is maybe like a far stretch of a simile that I'm trying to draw, but
mhm,
I'll come to it. But we live in a world where we're always looking for the extract of things,
okay,
like medicine even itself. They just take the most potent ingredient of it and give it to you to help heal you. But what really heals you is the full spectrum, all the
mm,
other little
mm,
components that
mm,
you think that are insignificant. That's what
okay.
really heals you, and that's what really develops a relationship. Not just like
Wow.
when something hits the fan. Yes, it's important that that person that with a friend, that is a very active compound that you got to have in that relationship. But it's like the little things, the full spectrum. It's the little things,
Okay.
the talking, the laughing, the sharing, the even the boring, the uncomfortable silence, or maybe the comfortable silence. I think all
Okay.
that stuff plays into really developing true friendship and true relationships. Yep.
Okay. Word. I feel that completely. And that's actually very introspective. And I would not have been able to put that same feeling in the same words. And I completely agree with that. But a lot of times, saying some people may say, okay, if you're on the receiving end, they may say, oh wait, Richard or Rigel, they always only get in contact with me, when shit hits the fan, like you said, oh, yeah, they let me know, say they got a promotion, they got a new job, they're trying to do a new startup or something like that. But it's not, saying they don't try to get me involved as much as they do, saying when they're, saying, I don't know, you lost a massive amount of sum in an investment or things like that. When those things happen, Richard or Roger, they're always around. They're always trying to ask for. They're like these emotional vampires.
Mm.
Do you feel that in a relationship, that these emotional vampires can also be toxic for the person who's there to be their day ones, their ride or dies?
Well, you
Because
definitely.
there's one thing to be there, or to kind of try to evolve a person, saying in your tribulations and also triumphs. But there's another thing when you only involve in them, especially in triumphs or tribulations, because they're very good at helping you feel better. Don't you?
Yeah,
Would
and then
that other person feel used?
some people use people as a pacifier. I get it,
Huh?
but I think that's for me. I try to be conscious of not just being an emotional vampire for anything, and I know
Okay.
sometimes life can be heavy for everybody. I get it, and
Okay.
but I think at the end of the day, and I was talking to our friend Jerry from last week, and I had a nice phone conversation with him last week as a
Yeah.
follow up. Is when you're at a certain vibration, you're so high in life, and you're so certain about you as a person, your connection with whatever you want to call it, God, source, whatever you
Mhm,
want it
mhm.
is. Vampires and all that stuff doesn't really affect you or anything anymore.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
you 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 you're at a different level. You know what I'm saying? So nothing
Okay.
nothing bad is going to affect you. That's only for those people who are at those lower levels of consciousness. And I think we live in this world now where everybody's like, especially on social media, like, I ain't got time for those type of people. I ain't got times for those type of people. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, that's like a really like a I don't got time for energy vampires. But
Okay.
maybe you're the energy vampire.
Exactly. 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 Right.
We live in this world where we're just always trying to like, like separate ourselves from other people and think we're more important than other people
Okay.
instead
Okay.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of just trying to connect with people. And when
Okay.
people go through down times, maybe it's good for them. But it's also good, like maybe not. I don't believe in the word boundaries, but it's always good to openly communicate with people. Like, you know what, yo, I don't like that you do this. Why don't you talk to me anytime? It's like it seems like you only talk to me when these times come. I know you're having bad times, but you should talk to me all the time. And then
Yeah.
when you start having really just honest and upfront communication with people, then everything shifts. Everything
Okay.
shifts. I think a lot of times people bite their tongue, like, "Oh, I'm gonna try to be the nice guy," or "I just
Okay.
be passive aggressive toward people." No, you got to just be real with people all the time, even though it may hurt them. You don't have to you don't have to put them down, but you can just be very
Okay.
polite and be truthful with people. And I think it's on you as a
Mhm.
friend too to communicate honestly how you feel with them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about nurturing friendships and relationships, right? And you, just like myself, you moved away from our hometown, our home state, many years ago,
Mhm.
and I'm quite sure that you had quite a few friends, or even a few close friends, even if it's a small number of close friends that you acquired, during your stay, during your life, and coming up in Michigan. But I want to know is that how do you maintain these tight relationships, these tight bonds with people who live quite distantly, because you don't see each other every day. Everyone has their own lives. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, you don't want to impose on their lives. You don't want them to impose on your life. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we get stuck in that one. And this is one of the things that I wanted to say. I notice a lot of times when I come back home to America, a lot of times, how much indifferently to how much, say I got love for my friends, my best friends, my day ones. A lot of times, or each time I come home, the experience becomes shorter and shorter, and the nostalgia and the recollections of how things were, past memories become more and more prevalent and relevant. So how do you maintain friendships from a long distance, especially when you don't see these people every day?
I think it's always difficult, but now I think with the you do got FaceTime and all that stuff like
Mhm.
that, so that makes it a lot easier. But I
Mhm.
think those are the kind of relationships where you're just kind of like you have to just that's kind of like you can't. I don't believe in forcing anything, so like
Okay.
you know every relationship have a time. Every life
Mm.
has chapters and seasons and stuff like that. And some people, a lot of people stay in the same chapter their whole lives.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if you're a person that's growing and I don't like the word seeker, but you're
Okay.
adventurous and you're blossoming and you're spreading your wings and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're just not going to run into those people ever again, and that's just the way it is. And you just have to cherish
Okay.
the memories that you had, and then when you reconnect with them again, it to me it's always like riding a bike,
Okay.
and just pick off where we left off, like our good friend Marcos.
Yeah.
I don't talk to Marcos that much, but every time I see him, it's just like old times. So
Exactly.
we have a couple of drinks, it's all good. But we were the best of friends growing up. But
Yeah.
I don't see him that much, and I hardly see him at all, to be honest. So I
Uh-huh.
hardly talk to him at all. But
Okay.
that's something
And
I
so,
make. I could be making. I honestly, I could be making a much more conscious effort of connecting with more.
mhm, mhm,
So I
mhm.
know
Oh,
his son is going to come out here, actually at University of Nevada, Reno, because he's playing basketball there.
okay.
And come to LA for a couple of days after he's done dropping his son off. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So yeah, definitely, like you said, you were kind of able to still, saying, even though that relationship stops at a particular point, you're able to reconnect after years, after months, after a decade or two, which isn't the case with you. But I have a couple of friends that I haven't reconnected with in, over a decade.
Mhm.
And you still have that same, that passion, you still wish them well, but you realize that, that you're really two different places in life. So how do you consolidate, or how do you compensate for that difference when you do reunite with those old friends?
Well, I think you drop that can be like baggage sometimes, saying like, oh, we're at different places in life. You know, you're just trying to. At the end of the day, it's the ego working on a very
Mhm.
subtle level, saying like, oh, I'm in such a better place because I
Uh-huh.
traveled and I
Yeah.
moved away from home and stuff like that. At the end of the day, we were friends way before anything else. And then once you
Okay.
just reconnect to that, it's just like old times again. It's not about that story that I created of like, oh, I'm so worldly now because I travel the
Mhm.
world and I live in a different place in a different country. You know, that's just, you know, we get so caught up in trying to like, you know, like make ourselves so important. I know that's like the
Okay.
thing. I
Okay.
was like making ourselves, I'm important, I'm different, I'm special.
That's
But
that ego, however. That's that ego. Yes, that's that
and it's
ego,
like,
definitely.
there's a song that said, I'm special, I'm different, I'm
Exactly.
different.
Exactly.
Pull up
All right.
with the ceiling missing.
Yeah. So, do you think that I'm trying to create this distance between yourself and old contacts or old acquaintances? Do you think that's creating a bond, creating a friendship with new people or people that are around you? You know, what I'm saying physically. Do you think it's necessary that you have similar interests and tastes, or do you think that you can still create strong bonds even with people who think completely different than yourself?
You know, I just think a little bit different than most people, and I think I think more of I don't think in a binary way, and this doesn't have
Okay.
to do with sexuality, but you know, sexuality is part of being binary, non-binary. I think
Uh-huh.
more of in a quantum way. I think all of us
Okay.
has all infinite potential to connect with another person, and we all
Okay.
have similarities in some way. So I just try to focus on the similarities between I have with
Okay.
people, and try to
Okay.
learn from the
Okay.
differences instead of and more I'm getting into the place of not trying to convince people to see
Mhm.
the world my way. And I think when I
Okay.
was younger, I was always trying to convince
Mhm.
people to see the world my way. But you know,
Uh-huh.
I always first try to gravitate toward the similarities. You know, that's what
Okay.
always attracts
Uh-huh.
people is the similarities. And then when people
Okay.
have different stuff, I just kind of listen to them and learn and see
Okay.
maybe I could take in some things that they got. You know,
All right. Well, what about if the similarities are too few and the differences are too many? Would you still try to? I don't want to say force, but would you still try to to shed all of those preconcepts or those ideas of and just take that person for what he or she is? Or would you say, okay, you know what? I talked to you. I know that we're completely different. You know what I'm saying? We have more differences than similarities, which I don't really think is the case. Um, we may prioritize different things, what I'm saying, which, become our similarities and our differences. But we're so different. You know what? I talked to you, I gave it a chance, and you know what? Now I'm chucking the deuces. I'm saying peace. Or do you still say, you know what? I still believe that in this person, I can learn from this person, and we can still create something. I'm not saying force it, but I'm just saying um, have more of a forward bias towards trying to be more open. You understand? Not to be different, not to change, but to be more open.
yeah, I'm always for the forward bias is not being open. But you know, if things just
Mhm.
feel awkward, and I'm not going
Okay.
to force anything in life anymore. So that's I'm not at that stage anymore. And then some people, you know, they don't have to be. You can have different types of friends. Some people can be your your friends that's like you can talk to all the time. Some people you can only just maybe limited doses, and I
Mhm.
respect that too. That's the way it goes. Sometimes I actually have a friend like that now. Sometimes I just think he's just a little bit too much. But you know,
Yeah.
that's him, and I'm respecting his plight that
Yeah.
he's going through right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Definitely.
also, I have to respect myself too. It's like if I don't want to hear that shit all the time, I just don't have to
Mhm.
be around it.
All right.
It's just that
All
simple.
right.
We don't. I think we don't have to make it so hard. We don't have to make it so easy. We don't have to have every friend doesn't have to be check all the boxes. Every
No,
relationship is
definitely.
check
Definitely.
all the boxes. Even like with significant others, I think that's why so many
Mhm.
like spouse like marriages and everything fail because they want this spouse to check all the boxes, but
Yeah.
no one's going to check all the boxes in life. So you got
But
to just
also because of the fact that sometimes we don't check all the boxes. So how can you
I think
expect
we don't check
someone to check all
exactly.
the boxes if you're not
We
checking all the
check all the
boxes?
boxes all the time. So
Yeah.
and I think the more and more we start having compassion for ourselves first and
Mhm.
compassion for others, we start
Mhm.
it naturally organically we start gravitating towards similarities because at the end of the day, I think we're way more similar than we are different. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so you were talking about, some you might have some friends that, okay, you could take them in small doses, what I'm saying? You love them, you know. when you want to have fun, when you want to go out, you want to, you want to kind of, be distracted from life, the daily struggle, the daily grind. They say, you know what? That's my that's my dude. That's my girl. You know what I'm saying? We have fun every time we go out. You know what I'm saying? Nothing, nothing extreme, but I can kind of like let go and cleanse myself of all those tensions, those daily tensions. But what about when those friends, or even closer friends, because especially I think that the closer friends are, or closer you have some relationships, the falling outs are more intense. So what about when you fall out with another person? Um, how do you usually deal with that? Do you just give it time, let it breathe, or you say, you know what, we both express our opinion? Because sometimes when you fall out, shit gets said that they're like, bro, that would cross the line. That was too far. That was a point of no return. You don't talk to that person again, whether
Your
it's
bitch
ego
lines.
on your behalf, exactly, whether it's ego on your behalf or the other person's behalf. So, how do you usually recover or make up a friendship or relationship with a person with whom you had a falling out with whom you had a falling out?
I never really had too much of a falling out with people. I just don't try to argue with people. When people start to
Okay.
get into that really argumentative state, I kind
Okay.
of maybe, I'm gonna say diffuse it, but I just
Uh-huh.
like, I just don't, I don't engage into the argument.
Okay.
So maybe
Okay.
that's me being a little bit passive aggressive. But
Okay.
there's a lot of friends that I don't see anymore. That I guess it may be a much more subtle falling out. And
Okay.
but I just let it go. I try not to force anything in relationships. I think a relationship, if it's meant to be, it will be. So
Okay. Okay.
if not,
Okay.
it's not meant to be. We served our time together as friends, and now it's
Mhm.
pastures. But I believe, like when you do live in a quantum world, when you see the world in a quantum way, that
Mhm.
every friendship just builds on and prepares you for the next friendship. Every
Okay.
relationship you have is nothing's wasted. It just prepares you for the next relationship.
Yeah. But
So
how do you feel? How do you feel knowing that you are probably this how can I say, this void filler? For the next person that you encounter, you say, okay, like, Rich, you my man, dude, blah blah blah. And how do you know, feeling that this person will probably not be there as a friend for both of your lives, all of your lives, and that you're just saying, you're just feeling a void that person has in his or her life.
well, like
How do
I
you
said,
feel about
like going
being
back into like
you feel used in that case?
seeing the world as a quantum world, a quantum
Okay.
universe, you don't look at time in that way. You just kind of look at the moment, because that's where all the
Mhm.
possibilities happen. And so for
Mhm.
me, just appreciating that person for that moment. And then if it's honestly, I've been single my whole life, or most of my
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
I've been traveling a lot and stuff like that. So like, I just cherish the moments I have with people, and then if it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not, I always try to make a good effort, and if
Okay.
it feels like it's forced on both ends, then we just move on and just cherish those moments. If we reconnect again, it's beautiful. If not, it is what it is.
Okay. So you never worry about losing a friend or a friendship, falling apart.
I don't really worry about that type of stuff. No, no,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, because I wouldn't say that, I'm the type of person, kind of, as you say, I'm a very reserved person, and it's very difficult for me to forge friendships. I probably
Mhm.
have 8 or 9 friends, seven, 6 or 7 of them are in America, and I talk to very rarely, like we said before, these long distance friendships. But the moment that we reunite, it's like we never, left each other. Apart from the fact that when we start to get into, living our daily lives, then we realize that, we have grown, not necessarily negatively, one person negatively, one person positively, but just differently, Um, and so yes, so the few friendships that I do have, I do cherish.
Mhm.
I guess you could say that's probably because I'm very, very extreme. I'm very, black and white, very little gray area for me. And I sometimes, worry like, okay, I don't really want to lose this person, saying my life, probably because I invested so much in, saying into this person, sharing my mishaps, my downfalls, my triumphs, and things like that, but also at the same time, I know how difficult it is for me to have expressed or shared the same things that I have with a person than I have with the normal person that I come in contact with every day. A lot of people have a lot of friends, like you said before. You may have that friend that you're able to talk to about work trouble. That one friend that you're able to talk about girl trouble, relationship problems. You know, one friend that saying you just want to forget everything. This person is probably an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Not to saying not to be harsh on that person, but you know that when you're that person, you're only living, you're truly living that moment, because that person is one of those those people who really make you feel like past and future don't exist, only the present. One of
Mhm.
those mindful friends. Even though they may not realize it, they may not be as how can I say, emotionally inept to understand that, but there are those friends. But I would say that the friends that I have, so I'm very selective in my friendships, and I have very few friendships, and I have even less tight friendships. So um, and I find it difficult, and I really do. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am kind of anxious or worrisome when I think about losing one of those people, because I know that they're very few. I know how hard and how much work I put in, and they put in too.
Mhm.
Through the differences and through the triumphs. The many triumphs.
Mhm.
So my next question is for you is then, um, if you have a falling out with a friend, or you and your friend separate, so much, or you repel each other so much from an energetic point of view, and you notice that that friend is trying to re-gravitate towards the relationship that you guys had, how willing are you to re-accept it with open arms, or do you approach it cautiously and say, okay, I feel you, bro, I remember what we shared together, but I'm not going to invest so much as I had, saying before, because we saw how it finished. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think especially as I get older, I think I think I'm evolving. I think all of us should be evolving. That less and less I care about like the past. If the reconnection is sincere and pure,
Okay.
um, I think it's still a natural tendency to be cautious when it comes to those type of relationships. But for the first first and foremost, I have to clear the air and talk to that person,
Okay.
communicate like about everything, that how it went down before in the past, and how why you know I don't want to go through that again. I think
Okay.
once you just clear the air, it opens up the path to restart on a better footing. But if you
Okay.
don't have that communication right off the bat, then it buries it, and when things that are buried tends to come up in
Mm.
unexpected times.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's why I
Yeah.
think it's all about that communication. You got to be able to communicate with people. Being
Okay.
a conscious or aware communicator is very important. I think the solution to nearly all our problems is better communication.
Okay. Well, obviously, 17-year-old Richard or a 17-year-old Rigel is unable to communicate like a 40-plus-year-old Richard or Rigel. So,
Yeah.
at what stage do you think it's best to make friends and to maintain friendships? Do you
I
think
think
it's the older we get, it's easier to find friends, make friends, and maintain friendships, or do you think it's younger when we're saying when we're ignorant to the world, when
mhm.
we're 5 or 6 years old, racism, xenophobia, homophobia, these things don't exist. So when do you
Mhm.
think is the best stage or best point in our lives to make and maintain strong, healthy friendships?
I think anytime it comes, but I think it's just different. It's like when you're young, definitely you're going to meet more people and stuff like that, because you're going to be more in that environment. As you get older, more people are going to have families and stuff like that. And so like everything for most people in our age group revolves around their family and their kids and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you might meet other parents and stuff like it at the parent teacher conference and stuff like that, or, uh, and those type of outings, and maybe not so much at the bars like you used to back in the days, or
Okay.
play pick up basketball or something like that. So everything's kind of
Yeah.
shit. And I think
Okay.
as most people get older, it tends to be harder to make more friends. But for me, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like a lot of things in my life are just is like I feel like Benjamin Button sometimes, like
Okay.
it's going
You're
reverse.
retroverting, right? Or reverting, or
I feel
yeah.
like I'm taking off a lot more of the layers that kind of
Okay.
inhibited me when I was younger,
Okay.
and I'm becoming much more free and much more open than I did when I was younger, but with still having a much more level of maturity when it comes to having a conscious relationship that's full of consideration and compassion and stuff like that. Maybe that consideration and compassion was not present when I was like the 17-year-old, 18-year-old Richard,
Okay.
where it's present now, and I'm much more free and much more open. So I think it's the best of both worlds. I like have that maturity with the openness of a youth. So
Oh,
it's
right.
good. I think when I was younger, I didn't really have quite that openness. I think I was definitely very closed off, and
Okay.
so yeah.
All right, so Rich, to bring things full circle, we talked about how being able to not being unable to choose your family or those who are around you.
Mhm.
When we talk about societally, and being able to choose your friends and those who you consider sometimes blood, even though there's no real connection. How easy is it to bond at that same level with people who are familial with you, who do share similar bloodlines or part of the genealogical tree as you? Is it
I
as
think
easy? Is it more difficult? Do you feel because you know more about each other, so it's kind of like you're a bit more, like, bro, you know about me, so I don't want to, your friend, because you're going to try to use that against me. You know what I'm saying?
I think on a very basic level is much easier because you have a lot of the same upbringing, a
Yeah.
lot of the same cultures, probably a lot
Mm.
of the same idiosyncrasies. So
Huh?
definitely a lot of similarities. But I think when you have relationships with your bloodline, there's a lot of suppressed emotions between the two.
Okay.
Sometimes
Okay.
that could sometimes inhibit relationships because you're like,
Okay.
oh, like this, that, like maybe even a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of
Yeah,
resentment, a
exactly.
little bit of
Okay.
whatever. All that stuff can be underlying, and sometimes it's not even
Okay.
people are not even aware of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Like in
so
our case, a lot of times, we weren't even aware of it. You know what I'm saying?
I think
Yeah.
when you have relations, especially with brothers and cousins and stuff like that,
Uh-huh.
like on the surface, it should be very easy, but underneath the surface, it can be very difficult. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
So
I think
when you're able to break past those barriers, I want to say that, saying in our case, yeah, we've been able to, over the past few years, working on ourselves and our relationship with each other, we've been able to work on, things, and I feel like, completely, saying open to you, saying, and I've received that same energy from you. Do you think that that makes the bond stronger now with with another person who's not from the family, or do you think that it just that person who's part of your family is moved also to a new category, so they occupy two spaces in two different categories, or do you think that that person becomes a new entity, which
I
is
think I think
anomalous?
I think it's just very natural. If you have a good relationship with a sibling, there's nothing more
Okay.
powerful than that, or like a
Okay.
first cousin or something like that, because that you have the best of both worlds. That you are blood, you have a lot of similarities, a lot of cultural similarities, a lot of idiosyncrasies,
Okay.
and then you develop the friendship like you do with friends. You know what I'm saying? But
Okay.
so I